What's up YouTube, and welcome to Scrapbot Salvage. This is our first video under our new branding. In this video, we're going to take this chow mein noodles container and turn it into a robot. I had this lid from a shampoo bottle that I thought would make a cool flip up eye section. For the top section, I had this lid from a Six Flags drink container, because you know those are only good for one season. Getting the shampoo bottle cap to fit was going to be a little bit tricky, but not too bad. I first started placing it where I wanted it and then tracing it out with this micron pen just to get an idea of where I needed to cut. If you notice, I'm only cutting out one side of this template. That way there, the angle side of the cap can fit into the body, which allows it to fit better into the can, thus minimizing the amount of work it will need to close up the gaps. I went ahead and got it all glued in, but there are some gaps there. So I'm going to grab some foam clay here and just fill in those gaps. I'm not a big fan of this foam clay, but it does do wonders to fill in areas. While I get this cover glued on, let's talk a little bit about the new brand. As most of you who watch this hopefully know, I have spent a long time under Devil's Customs and Creatures. I kind of felt the channel did not reflect everything that I make, due to the fact that I no longer make die-cast customs, and most of my creations are robots and not creatures. So I wanted to get away from that name brand and get something a little more fitting for the channel. And that's where Scrapbot Salvage came about. I hope most of you finding me for the first time are not too confused by my old videos with the Devil's Customs and Creatures branding. But I'm not going to delete everything and start over fresh, as I have too much content here on YouTube and too many followers. That being said, I hope you enjoy the new direction of the channel. I hope to have a lot more videos coming soon over the summer. Let's get back to the build. My idea for this robot is to have it be a sentry bot. So I have this old ping pong ball that I had painted for an older project. I thought it would make a cool base for a rotating gun. I took these guns from a Final Faction figure, and I go ahead and get those glued on. Unfortunately, in the end, it does not rotate, but you get the idea. If you watched my Big Bot Bash video, you know I've been dealing with some technical difficulties as of late. I got a new microphone, and this is my first video using it, so I do apologize if any of the audio sounds a little echoey. I'm still trying to work out the kinks of this new system. And also, some of this footage is quite old, and it was not when I had my optimal video setup. So again, please bear with me. I went ahead and added some rivets. Sorry there's no cool stop motion feature. The more I add to this robot, the more I feel like it's starting to come together. As you can see, I added way more rivets, a couple of wires, and a trim around the base. I wanted to add some drain pipes to this, so I had this bag of rubbery pipe pieces that you use with drinking straws. They make great pipes. They are hard to kind of paint, but I find sealing them with matte sealer before painting them keeps them from getting sticky. Here I'm just trying to find different pipes to use and where I want them placed. Since these are made to work with drinking straws, I thought what better material to use to make a downspout. So I went through my bits box and found a straw. As you can see, it's not a very strong one. I went ahead and put it in the downspout to act as kind of a gutter piece. So now I needed to go ahead and drill a hole in the side. So I get that done here. And of course the downspout and the gutter were too big, so I just went ahead and trimmed those pieces. Sorry it's a little off camera, I'm still getting used to the overhead shooting. If you guys are in the hobby and you don't have a reamer tool, I highly suggest getting one. They're fairly cheap off Amazon. They're a perfect way to get smaller holes bigger without having to keep drilling things, especially on fragile or brittle parts. Sometimes the drill is just too powerful. So here I am fitting the downspout, and I actually ended up going with a different straw, as that blue one that I had was very brittle and wasn't going to work. My original intention was to hang this on the wall, so I was going to run some pipes underneath the robot, but in the end I decided to have it be a standalone, so I took the bottom piece out, and then I just used my rotary tool to chop up the bottom of the plastic straw to make it look corroded from rust. I always believed that robots should have some kind of comm unit to talk back to base. So I found this old charger plug. So I went ahead and tried to make it look like a comms pack. Those some die-cast car tires and just some random greeblies. I wanted this to be a little more visible than just stuck behind the robot, so I decided to mount it on the side of him. And here it is all finished. For the amount of items I have in my parts bin, I find it hard sometimes to find a lot of these small things. I'm trying to pay attention to my surroundings more to find more little bits that I can use like this. If you make projects like this, I'm sure you have experienced the sticky plastic at least once or twice in the hobby. Like I mentioned earlier, I just spray the whole thing with matte clear before primer, and that usually handles anything that might be sticky. Mostly things with higher rubber content, and also those Final Faction figures from the Dollar Tree. I chose to primer this piece in gray primer. It's just going to be easier for the paint scheme I had. I feel sometimes when you primer it in black, it's very hard to add color to it. My base color for this is going to be a blue, so I went ahead and used the gray. All the rubbery pieces are sealed, so there's no problem with stickiness on this one. This is the color I chose for the body. It's just a navy blue. I won't bore you with the whole painting process, but while we watch, let's learn about this robot. They call it Boiler 9, but no one remembers who named it. The noodle factory shut down decades ago after a fire that never fully burned out. Something deep in the walls still smolders, warming the pipes just enough to keep the old machinery twitching. In the center of it all stands Boiler 9, a sentry robot that was built to protect proprietary recipes to ensure no one tampered with the production line. But time twisted its purpose. Now it guards absence, empty shelves, silent rollers, and the faint smell of broth that drifts through the halls at night. Sometimes when the heat rises and the pipes begin to groan, Boiler 9 stirs. Its sensors flicker to life, scanning for intruders that no longer come. And if something does wander in, drawn by curiosity or hunger, the robot responds in the only way it knows how. Protect the factory. Preserve the process. Even if there's nothing left to make. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into the weathering. I made a lighter shade of the blue, and now I'm just using an old brush to stipple on some texture. I normally do this with a sponge, but on this one there was so many nooks and crannies it was very hard to get a sponge into all the little spots. So I went ahead with the stippling method here. I think I got good results. I made an even lighter shade of blue and a different brush, and I'm going to go ahead and just use this all along the edges to show paint wear, which is the pre-stage before paint chipping. As you can see, it's looking very worn and dusty, and that's just where I want it to be. Someday I will learn that silver goes last, but here I am highlighting some of the higher areas. And here is where I break out some of my favorite weathering products. These are both by Vallejo, some game wash, and some rust and streaking paint. Also these different types of rust from the Mecha line. I didn't bother to do all the black chipping on this one. I went straight into the dark brown and just started hitting all the deep recesses of the build. You'll see in this stage we really start to build the shadows and depth of the piece, along with some dripping stains and darkened lower areas. And now I'm going to come in with some light rust and go over some of the same areas and make newer areas where the rust and grime may not have been as deep. This orange-brown is going to give us some really nice highlights on some of the rustier areas. This isn't really a dry brush technique, but I do make sure I wipe off the brush before applying. You can see almost instantly how it brings to life things like this pipe. By this point in the painting, I'm starting to get a Space Marine feel. But I assure you that was not what I intended. I know I said I wasn't going to bore you with all this painting process, but I feel it's important to people who are new in the hobby to learn some of these techniques. I promise you there won't be much more painting, and we're going to get on to the reveal. I know it doesn't look like much the more and more we add to it. You'll see over time that it ends up building up and giving you really good depth and layers. And here is Boiler 9. One of my investments for 2026 is a larger turntable, as I'm building larger robots these days. So for now, some glamour shots will have to do. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something as well. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing below. It really helps the channel, and it costs you nothing. Hopefully this inspires you to grab some trash and make your own robot. Until the next video, be well.